Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today's video, we're going to be kind of doing two different things, really. We're going to be taking a look at the darkest before, and we're also going to be talking about how I feel about weapon sunsetting. If you guys are unfamiliar with this weapon, I've been using it quite a lot. The past two trials maps, I've been getting a ton of questions on stream. I think a lot of newer players have obviously never seen this weapon, and they keep asking me, what is it? What is it? Well, it's a Trials of the 9 pulse rifle. Obviously, it's no longer available, but if you did play Trials of the 9, back when it was the thing, and you got this weapon, you can just pull it from your collections anytime and take it for a spin. And I haven't just been using it just for the sake of it. I think it genuinely is the best 540 RPM pulse rifle in the game. So again, with things like sunsetting coming into the game, I really do hope they bring out some really nice 540 RPM pulse rifles, you know, when this thing gets sunsetted. Obviously, it is a year one weapon, so it's way past its sell by date in a lot of ways when you think about it. But the Trials of the 9 weapons came with a pretty decent perk choice, which was a big difference compared to a lot of weapons back then. Obviously, you've got 3 different barrels, you've got quick draw and side shot to choose from, and you have full auto, as well as very good base stats. The weapon is just really, really good. And obviously with Antea swords being the meta at the moment in Trials, and I'm trying to help people, I am not trying to use non-meta weapons or armor. I'm trying to do whatever I can to maybe win some games, because PC Trials, my guys, it's kind of crazy out there, that's all I'll say. But anyway, so yeah, darkest before with slide shot and quick draw. I'm using slide shot recently. Slide shot on this pulse, I'm telling you, combine that with the full auto and the great base stats, and most of all, the amazing sight that darkest before had. It's just disgusting. I can just feel myself getting more range and bullet magnetism after I slide, and really being able to stretch out the range on my primary. Obviously, I'm using the Gnawing Hunger quite a lot, but the Gnawing Hunger that I have is like a stability roll, and it's not, you know, exactly spec'd out for range. And on these longer range maps like Midtown and like Dead Cliffs this weekend, really long lanes on these maps, and I found the auto rifle just wasn't doing it for me personally. So yeah, for that reason, I pulled out the darkest before. And honestly, that was a really good choice because it's been serving me really well, and I'll be sad to see it go. And obviously that leads me on to the topic of sunsetting, and I think actually you're going to be surprised by my opinion on sunsetting. I actually think it's a good thing for the game. Yeah, that's right, a good thing, not a bad thing. Yeah, I like darkest before. Yeah, there's a bunch of other legendaries that I really like that I've never had. In fact, one thing that I am kind of salty about, and if you guys have been following me for a while, or especially if you watch my stream, you'll know there's a certain weapon I've been trying to get since Forsaken, and that's a good bone structure with quick draw and opening shot, or even a Gunora's Axe with quick draw opening shot, and I've never had that drop for me in all of this time. I've grinded Iron Banner. Well, I say grinded, but I play a little bit of Iron Banner and get some tokens, and I've had quite a lot of Gunora's drop. Obviously never had that perk combo. But when it comes to the good bone structure, guys, Banshee has been bleeding me dry for weapon parts since 2018, and in all that time I've never got one. Literally never got one. And the reason why I bring this up is, say I was to get one next week, well, then I would be a little bit salty, I guess. So I can see the point of view of people who are salty about sunsetting because they've grinded really long to get their weapons and then they're not able to use them in Trials or Iron Banner. I totally get it. But I don't know, I think overall for me personally, I've never been, this is just a personal thing at the end of the day. When it comes to the topic of sunsetting, it really is just down to the individual, how they feel, what makes them tick. But with me, I never really get too attached to legendary weapons. That's just always been a thing with me. Legendary weapons have always just been the kind of like supplement to the whatever exotic it is that I like at that time. Obviously, most of the time it's a Chaperone. For a while, it was Fighting Lion. And, you know, there's a couple of other exotics that I really, really like. To me, exotic weapons have always just appealed more than legendaries for obvious reasons, because they're just, you know, exotic, they're cool, they have a little bit more personality and a little bit more character. Whereas most legendary weapons are very generic for the most part. Obviously, there are some legendaries that do have, you know, quite a lot of charm in their own ways. But for me, they're just a means to an end. I use the legendaries to get the job done. And if one gets sunset, it's not a problem for me. However, whilst it's not a problem for me, they do need to respect player time. And obviously, like I said before, people have spent countless hours farming for very specific roles on certain weapons. And in order to respect player time, Bungie really need to implement activities that are very similar to things like the Menagerie, for example, where you can kind of know exactly what you're getting. You can maybe slightly adjust how it's going to drop. For example, with the Austringer, you could spec what masterwork you would get for it, and you would know that you would get 1 or 2 Austringers at the end of that activity. Same with the Sundial, they need to bring activities similar to those. We do not need an RNG slogfest, especially if we're only going to have these weapons for say 1 year or 2 years or whatever it might be. They really need to make sure that they nail that. It's very important. And also the second thing they need to make sure that they get right is that weapons are good. These weapons need to be good. If you stop and look at the Seraph legendaries that came this season, I would say they nailed it aesthetically with these weapons. And I think in PvE with the Warmind cells, they're actually really solid in there too, to be fair. But from a PvP player's point of view, the perk pools, the archetypes, they were all kind of lackluster. We need the best archetypes in the game in PvP to have good representation within the loot pool. I'll give you a really good example. 150 RPM energy hand cannons are the best in the game, but when you look at the energy offerings, you have NF and Luna, which aren't really 150s, they're actually 180s that have been slowed down, and they've also been nerfed a ton, and they're also being sunsetted. Then you had Jack Queen King, great hand cannon, but they really held back on the perk pool for that weapon, and it really held it back from being as competitive as other 150 hand cannons. And then finally you have the Waking Vigil, which in fairness, especially on a mouse, I think it's a really solid hand cannon. Side shot, opening shot, roll will serve you really well. But as a controller user, and I can't really think of too many other people using controller who really like Waking Vigil, there might be a few of you out there, let me know in the comment section. But that's basically it, that's where it ends. Then on the other hand cannons in the energy slot, you've got Kindled Orchid, which is pretty solid. You've got 1 or 2 decent 180s to be fair. But just overall, all of the best hand cannons have generally been in the kinetic slot. Another example would be 540 pulses. There are no kinetic 540 pulses that are up to date in this game as far as I'm aware. If I'm wrong and I'm missing something, someone let me know. But there are like these really big holes in the loot pool, in the weapon pool, and I hope they address that and put weapons in that people want in different archetypes and give them strong perk pools, give them interesting combinations, and crucially make them gettable. Don't put them behind too much RNG. Another suggestion and another thing that I really hope for sunsetting, and something that I think will make sunsetting overall be a good thing for everyone, is like get some really good legendaries that are going to be impactful in both sides of the game, PvE and PvP. Get some really good legendaries and put them behind either the Nightfall, for example, or behind raids. If you put really powerful legendary weapons behind the raids, it's going to get more people involved in raiding, and it's going to get more people involved trying to knock out the Nightfalls. Maybe you'll get a chance at, X weapon that's really good now. And the same thing goes for Trials. Trials needs new weapons. We need original new weapons. I really hope the entirety of Trials duration isn't just going to be like, oh, here's another old D1 legendary. No, we need new things, man. New looks, new sounds, new perks. Let's be honest, at this point, Destiny 3 should have come out. If they were sticking to what we kind of know already as a cycle, D3 should be dropping. But that's not obviously going to be the case. We're going into year 4, we're going into year 5, we're going into year 6. We need newness. We need a lease of new life, a breath of fresh air, whatever you want to call it. We need it, man. And listen, all you strike goblins, all you reckoning goblins who did countless strikes for your Godroll Mindbender or countless reckoning runs for that spare rations. Listen, no one forced you to do that, man. You could be like me and get a good roll and just be happy with it, and then also make videos on them and call them Godrolls. Don't tell anyone I said that. But, it just depends on the player, right? I guess people are way more, I don't know, it's like, how obsessed are you for perfection? For me personally, like I just said, if I get a good roll on something, I'm out. For example, I got a Mindbenders with quick draw, pulse monitor, range masterwork, accurized rounds, rifle barrel, full choke. I'm out. I'm never going back in there. Yeah, sure, pulse monitor is not a great perk, but I've got quick draw, I've got all the range perks, I'm gone. Other people, they're not going to stop until they get that quick draw side shot with all the aforementioned perks as well. And that could take a long ass time. So Bungie need to respect player time investment. But even if you're salty about it, if they implement this in the right way, it's gonna be great for everyone, because the game's gonna feel like a new game. We really need that. Anyway, guys, that's basically the end of my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about it. This is obviously the perspective of a PvP player and not a PvE main. Maybe there aren't too many PvP players doing videos on sunsetting. So there's my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.